And in the meantime, unfortunately, the victim passed away.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what gave me more motivation that, as tired as I was, I couldn't give up.
Sure.
This person had a family and they wanted resolution to find out who it was.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to!
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Black and Blue Podcast. I appreciate you coming in today. Today, my guest is going to be very special to you. She is a sergeant with the Beaumont Police Department in Beaumont, California. Please help me welcome in Sergeant Toshia Bryant-Wells.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
How you doing?
I am doing well. How are you doing, Dale?
I cannot complain. So how's your Sunday shaping out today?
Well, it was a work day. So
you had to work. Okay.
Yeah, it was a work day and it was a busy work day. It was my Friday, actually.
So you got a few days off, huh?
Yep, I will have a few days off. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming in and helping me out on this podcast. I'm starting to launch here. I want to, not only talk to African Americans, but I want to talk to minorities as well. So I'm going to have some other officers of different minority groups come in and talk as well. But I appreciate you being one of my first guests. Really do.
Thank you.
All right. So you are a sergeant at Beaumont Police Department. How long you been with Beaumont?
I've been with Beaumont for 11 years.
11 years?
Total in law enforcement, 22 years now.
Wow. 22 years.
Aging myself, yes.
You don't look like you've had 22 years of life.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's especially when I'm working nights, I feel it. So
yeah. Nights is tough. So you've seen a lot in 22 years, huh?
I have.
All right. What's life like in Beaumont? How big is the city? How big is the department?
Well, Beaumont is about 40,000 people.
Okay.
It is one of the fastest growing cities. Right now we're looking at a commercial boom. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of businesses coming in and out. We're happy about that one.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Helps out with those taxes, right?
Yeah. It's about half the size of Redlands, which is the department I worked at before I went to Beaumont.
Okay.
So, to explain the difference, it's about half the size of Redlands. So everything is reduced by about half the size. So the agency,
right,
crime rates. Mm-hmm. So that's
okay.
PD in a nutshell.
Right. And you're a sergeant now. You work in patrol. You have a patrol shift, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a patrol sergeant. Like I said, we just rotated to days. So every 3 months we rotate.
Okay.
So that's one of the tougher parts of the job, being on patrol.
Yeah.
We just go back and forth between days and nights every 3 months.
Right.
And I'm the sergeant of a patrol team of, right now we are at 5. For us, the minimum staff is 3 officers and a sergeant.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. What sort of crimes happen in Beaumont? Same as everywhere else? Lots of burglaries, lots of sex crimes, anything like that?
I would say, for the most part, it's thefts, people not getting along, whether
Right.
that's, family, friends, associates, those disturbances.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are driven by alcohol or substance abuse.
Right.
So for the most part, that's what we see on a daily basis. The disturbances, the alcohol, the drug-related issues. Unfortunately, we're seeing an uptick in mental health-related issues.
Right. Right.
I think that ties in a lot with, just the rest of the country, what they're facing.
And the homelessness and all that.
Exactly.
It's all tied together. Yeah.
Exactly.
You guys have a pretty large homeless population in Beaumont?
No, I wouldn't say it's large, but it's there.
It's there. Yeah.
It's there. And we do our best because as with San Bernardino County, where you work, Riverside County, we have our resources for those who want help. But, if they don't want help with substance abuse or any other issues, housing, there isn't a whole lot that we can do. We can't,
Can't force them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can't force them. All right. So you've been in Beaumont for, you said 12 years. What sort of other assignments have you done there?
I have worked, I started as a patrol officer, and then probably one of the cooler assignments, I'm the first and only law enforcement fitness specialist. So
Wow.
shortly after I got there, they sent me to Dallas, Texas, where I went to the Cooper Institute, and was certified as a law enforcement fitness specialist. Brought back all my training, started a fitness program for law enforcement officers.
What does that involve? Like, what's the program?
Well, that was back in 2008, and we are looking to do like a 2.0 version of it, hopefully in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But basically what it was just a modification of the Cooper test, just to show officers where they were, fitness-wise. A lot of times, especially if you're working nights, you don't make the best choices, with your diet, and you're not exercising. And, we work in a stressful profession. So all of those factors, you kind of lose touch, or you forget, or you don't realize what's happening.
Right.
And so that the Cooper's test would kind of be that way of showing people exactly where they were.
Like what's on the Cooper's test?
So the Cooper's test is it's push-ups, sit-ups, 1.5 mile run, the sit and reach, testing flexibility.
Okay. I'm not the most flexible myself.
Well, and that's the thing, all of those are components that are really necessary. If we're looking at longevity and we want officers to be able to retire without a medical retirement.
Yeah.
All those things that we would test, so it was like the fast twitch muscles, and that was done by like a 300-yard run. Slow twitch, which was like the longer 1.5 mile run. And then, your muscular strength, which was the push-ups, and your core strength, which was the sit-ups or the crunch-ups.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. You still stay pretty much fit and watch your diet and work out and exercise and all that?
I do.
You do?
I do. I mean, I'm pushing 50, and I think it's not so much for vanity's sake, but if I want to make it to 25 or 30 years in this career, I have to.
You got to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I work out a little bit. Still, trying to stay fit. But it's tougher as you get older. I will say it's tougher as you get older. I'm an advisor, an explorer post over here. And funny story is we had the explorers running sprints, down a couple hundred yards and back. at 4 at a time, right? And then this last group only had 3. So, they said, hey, Officer Peters, can you jump in there? So I said, okay, I'll do it. So, I ran with them, full sprint. And, these are teenage kids, 14, 15.
And you forgot.
Well, yeah, right. But, I was feeling good that, I came in second behind, these other ones. I was like, hey, I'm older than these guys and, I'm feeling good. But the next morning, oh, I was feeling it. So
there you were.
You got to stay on top of it. You got to.
Totally. And it's not just that day where we forget, and we want to test the youngsters, but if we have a tough day at work where we gotta take a tussle, you feel it the next day and the day after that. Yep. So it's so important to stay up on our fitness, our diet, because you never know what the day is going to demand.
Yeah, no doubt. So you stay up on your fitness and you're working days and nights. Are you, what's your family situation? You got brothers and sisters, kids?
I have 6 older brothers and I'm the youngest and the only girl. So yeah, I think if ever there was, a family situation that could directly lead someone into law enforcement, it was growing up with 6 older brothers.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. Because, I'm comfortable, working, being around, male dominated environment. And I see the strengths that, both genders provide.
Right.
And so, I think it was really beneficial, just with me growing up with 6 older brothers. I have a high schooler son.
Okay.
So that's my one and only child.
All right. And how's he feel about mom being a police officer?
I finally talked him into doing one ride along. And that's the only one and only ride along.
With you or with someone else?
Ever. Yeah. He's very mellow. He likes plans. He likes to know it. He doesn't like surprises.
Right.
So for him to be out on patrol, and even when, I'm the supervisor, and he didn't like it.
Really?
At all. Yeah, it was just the uncertainty. He didn't like the uncertainty. He even described it as the controlled chaos. So.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. that. That's what it is. Wow. So he's definitely not going to be following in mom's footsteps, right?
That was the good thing about him doing the ride along. Yeah. He absolutely does not want to be a law enforcement officer.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny because our profession is kind of like, you hear these football players, they love their job. They love, it's giving them a lot of stuff in their life. But when they talk about their kids and say, would you want your kids to play football? And a lot of them are like, no, I'd steer them in a different direction. It's the same with us. We
absolutely
like to steer our kids in a different direction other than law enforcement, even though this is, a profession that's given us a lot and we like it. But, probably want a little something different for our kids,
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. And so you work out a lot. I'm sure you do spend a lot of time with your son when you're off duty. What other sort of things do you do when you're off duty? Do you have time to do anything else?
I mean, on a regular basis, not really. Single mom, just trying to fit life in, and all the appointments that have to get stuff done on my days off.
Right.
But when I can. As much as I can, I like to travel, and I'm fortunate to have a son who loves to travel, and he loves, different cultures, different foods. And so, we've gone to Japan, we've gone to Europe, and
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, with me, he's been to Japan with his dad. He went to Thailand, and we also went to Sweden with his cousins.
Wow.
Their mom is Swedish. So
okay.
I think.
Was that in the winter or?
No. Actually, we went to Sweden in July, and it's funny because it was like the hottest summer on record, and like they were complaining about the heat, and I'm not kidding. It was like 81 degrees, and they were like, "Oh my god!" They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so hot," and they were apologizing. When you would go in the stores, they'd be like, "I'm so sorry that it's so hot on your visit." Southern California.
Yeah, they don't know about the Southern California heat when
They
it's
don't
114 in the shade. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, they have no idea.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds like fun. You know, you've been to all these different places. That's cool. So, but when you're at work, you know, there's a whole bunch of things that we see on a daily basis. You know, as officers helping people out. Can you think of a case of a situation that's really gratifying that you got to handle, that you got to work during your time there in Beaumont, without naming names?
Right. One of my assignments was in the detective bureau. I was a detective for about 2 years.
Okay.
And patrol took the initial investigation where it was a hit and run with major injuries. And that was like over the weekend. Right. So when we come in on like Monday, you know, we see it. You know, obviously the scene's already cleaned up, and then my detective sergeant hands me the case, and there's no suspect info. We have a plate that may or may not be, you know, good. It's an out-of-state plate. And so long story short, I had to figure out who the driver of this car was. The vehicle wasn't registered to the suspect.
Of course.
So it was just this, I don't know, twists and turns, trying to find the suspect. And in the meantime, unfortunately, the victim passed away.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what gave me more motivation that, you know, as tired as I was, I couldn't give up.
Sure.
You know, this person had a family and they wanted resolution to find out who it was. And so I was able to find out who the person was that sold the vehicle. Obviously, they had no idea who the person was other than a first name because they paid cash for the car. And it was just, it came down to old school, just sitting around in a neighborhood looking, you know, thinking that this might be the neighborhood where this person lives.
Right.
But we don't know. And we just sat and waited and eventually discovered where the person was who purchased the vehicle. And were able to make that arrest and give that closure to the family. But it was, because it was just going into it blind and just following the investigation where it led me, it was really, it was just really rewarding because, you know, knowing that the family was in such pain and needing that closure.
Right.
Yeah, it was probably one of my more memorable cases.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
Has that been adjudicated yet?
It has.
Okay.
It has. And I need to add that I know for a fact that the only way that, you know, I got through that case was, you know, with the support of my mom, my family, and I would come home and vent, you know, just how there was nothing. There were no leads. I didn't know what to do. And, you know, we want to resolve it. And it was just, my mom kind of keeping me, you know, calm and able to keep going.
Okay. So you're close to your mom, sounds like?
I'm very close to my mom.
All right. So she, being the only girl in the family of all those boys.
Yes.
She sounded like a strong woman too to have to put up with all those strong personalities, right?
Absolutely is. My dad did 2 tours in Vietnam, rest his soul. And my mom had At the time, she had 6 boys.
Oh, wow.
She had 6 boys, and my dad was over in Vietnam.
Enough said.
And yeah, and she, ruled the house at times with an iron fist because that's what was needed, but she kept each and every one of those 6 boys out of trouble, on the straight and narrow. And I guess the funny story with that is my dad's second tour ended when my mom wrote a letter to the president and told him about how she had these 6 boys and she needed her husband to be home for those 6 boys.
Really?
Really.
Wow. Who was that at the time? Was that Ford? Do you know?
I believe it was Nixon.
Nixon? Okay.
I believe it was.
Uh-huh.
And so next thing my mom knows and my dad knows is that my dad is being sent home unexpectedly. Wow. And yeah, that was the end of his tour in Vietnam.
Good for her. Good for her. How did he take that though? The wife stepping in and.
I think he had mixed emotions, because
I'm sure.
Yeah, because of his brothers that were in the military with him, but at the same time recognizing that he's the father of 6 boys.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, they needed a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Did he continue on in the military after he came back, or did he retire out?
My dad did 20 years in the Air Force. Yeah.
Nice.
Out here at Norton Air Force Base. Yeah.
All right. 20. You didn't do any military, right?
No, I didn't.
What about your brothers? No. Any of them?
Yes. 3 of the 6 were in the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right. The Air Force. All right.
Yeah, just like my dad.
Yeah. Smart.
Absolutely.
So, being an African-American female, single female, working in law enforcement, have you had any challenges that you've seen in law enforcement, whether it be from, inside an organization, your partners or supervisors, giving you a side eye or anything like that, or even from the community about you being a, African-American female working in this job?
I've absolutely faced challenges. Fortunately, I'm blessed to have worked at, a great department with Redlands and now at Beaumont, where I don't have those issues internally with the organization,
mm-hmm.
but in the community, I think there's perceptions of what they're expecting when they call the police.
Right.
And with it being, a smaller city, there are those, I guess, those individuals with closed minds, right, that when female shows up or a minority female shows up, it's not what they were expecting. And as a result, mm-hmm. it's not going to be as good of a response that they would get from a non-minority.
Right.
And so, I have shown up to calls and flat out been told, oh, you're not what I expected,
Right.
And that's okay. Yeah. Because I know that I'm very competent. I know that I know what I'm doing. I may not do it like the traditional, what they were expecting in a law enforcement officer,
mm-hmm.
but that's okay.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Amen to that. For real. For real. Have you seen any changes in, attitudes towards women, towards, minorities in law enforcement in your 20 plus years working? There's been an influx of, bad media attention on law enforcement lately. So there's going to be a lot of different scrutinies there. But have you seen anything positive or negative changes in perceptions?
I've seen some positive changes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make the news because it doesn't fit with the talking points, but
exactly.
I do believe that law enforcement recognizes that it's in their best interest to have departments, have agencies that reflect the community, and they are actively working to make sure, that their agencies reflect what the community looks like. So
right.
When I look at Beaumont, where I am right now, 40,000. You wouldn't expect it. We are a tremendously diverse agency, with minorities. We're about 10, 11% African American.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's that compare with the city itself?
The city itself, I believe, is right around 7, 8-ish%.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're good.
Right along the lines of what the reflecting the community.
Yeah.
All right.
So it again, with it being an agency of 42, we're not what one would expect.
Right.
And so I think, especially, well, I'm comfortable speaking for Southern California agencies. I think throughout Southern California, there's been an effort, to really try to recruit officers that are minorities, because it really does a service to the agency and to the community to have that diversity.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a positive change in law enforcement. In the beginning, it was just whoever applied, whoever did the best, whoever, that's who got hired.
Right.
And it wasn't really trying to reach out to people to fill those positions with people that just reflected the community.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. So you said, what was it, 12 years you got there in Beaumont?
Almost 12.
Almost 12. What do you see yourself in 5 years? You gonna be wrapping it up in 5 years or so, or what's the future hold for you?
I say in 5 years, I will be a member of administration.
Yes. That's always the goal.
That is the goal. I plan on going to my mid-50s. So that's a couple of years beyond 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, professionally, that's where I see myself. As far as being a mom, I'm going to have a son who's well into his second year of college.
Okay.
So that just the very thought of that, makes me panic and stress. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm
more
sure.
expenses.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So
I'm in the same boat.
Yes. So that's where I see myself. I'm going to knock on some wood here, Dale.
Yeah.
Maybe even married again, who knows?
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hope so for you. What are some of your pet peeves at work? Things that, just irk you when things do, when it happens.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I know you got one or two.
Yes. Just a couple. My top one is when we are controlling traffic. We have a street blocked off.
Yep.
Okay. And somebody stops their car and is holding up traffic to tell me that they live right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for whatever reason, it could be traffic accident. It could be a hazard because there's a down power line. It could be whatever.
Right.
All of that. They want me to move my car with the lights on for a reason, preventing them from whatever the hazard is, the issue is, because they live right there.
Yep.
And that just blows my mind. And
Yep.
I'm like, okay, you don't know how to make 3 left turns to get around this. And
Oh yes. They only know that one way. That only one way to get to where they're going. Haven't explored their surroundings in the 20 years that they've lived there. They only know that one way there.
One way. Yeah.
All right. So I appreciate you coming out. This is probably going to wrap it up a little bit here, but I want to do something, a lightning round with you, where I'll ask you some questions and you just shoot off the top of your head. I want to call this.
Last night I saw a superhero. He was black. He said, "This is for the street. Black lightning's back."
So I'm just going to shoot from the hip and just tell me what's off the top of your head. First one, day shift or night shift?
Day shift.
Day shift.
Yep.
Other than a dog, what do you think would be a good animal for police work?
Cat.
A cat? Why a cat? Cats don't like nobody.
You know what? My boyfriend has this one cat that maybe it's because he's dog-like. This cat is like, if he's gone for too long, or the cat literally, when you come in the door, he just falls out.
Really?
I've never seen a cat. Yeah, falls out on his back and just waits for you to pet him. He's like, yeah, I need someone to pet me. He's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a canine cat. All right.
Canine cat.
You ever been on a fire truck?
Yes.
You have, all right. Pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie?
Come on. Sweet potato pie.
Sweet potato pie. There you go. Your department enrolls you in an international officer exchange program for 1 year in a country of your choice. Where are you going? To work for a year.
I'm going to Sweden.
Sweden. Okay. Yeah, you said you did like that over there. Mild temperatures.
In the summer, yes.
Yes, in the summer, mild. You weren't there in the winter though, so you can't change your mind if you.
I probably would. Yeah.
Okay, so a better Mike Myers sidekick, Donkey from Shrek or Mini-Me from Austin Powers?
Mini-Me.
Mini-Me.
Yep.
You walk into a restaurant and somebody throws their hands up and says, "I didn't do it." What do you say?
That's not what she said.
All right, last one. Finish this line. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Up in here, up in here.
There you go. You got it. All right. All right. Thank you for having some fun with me there.
You're very
again, this is like something I wanted to do to start off. I've been talking to a few other people, and I'm glad you're one of the first ones to step up and say you do it. So again, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. You be safe out there in Beaumont, and we'll talk soon. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe.
All right. Thank you, Sarge. Talk to you.
All right.
All right. Bye. Yes, y'all. That was a great conversation we had with Beaumont PD Sergeant Toshia Bryant-Wells. I think she gave us a lot of good info and insight on what it means to be a professional in this business. So Square Pegs, is about that time here on the Black and Blue podcast. And you know what that means. This is Props for Cops.
Give me my props, yo. More than a cop, yo. Till I master hip-hop, I won't stop.
Now, since I just got done speaking with an amazing female cop, I thought I'd talk about another one. And this story comes to us from the Baltimore Police Department, as they recently recognized one of their long-retired officers. In 1937, Baltimore PD hired its first African-American officer. That officer also happened to be the department's first female officer. Officer Violet Hill White worked a number of assignments in her career, including narcotics, robbery, homicide, child abuse, and sex crimes. She's admired for playing a dope addict in an undercover op to round up a drug gang. Hill White was promoted to sergeant in 1955 and lieutenant in 1967. Lieutenant Hill White never missed a day of work in her 30 years on the department. Now that's a lot more than I can say, so props to Lieutenant Hill White just for that alone. Lieutenant Hill White died in 1980 at the age of 83. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of the Black and Blue podcast. I hope you enjoyed everything you heard and you saw here today. If you did, you know what to do. Subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the podcast on all the major podcast platforms, and you'll get updates whenever a new episode drops. Also, check me out on the website at www.blackandblue.us. And you know I'm on all the socials. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Black and Blue US. I'm going to have different content on the socials, so be sure to check it out. And I've been getting a lot of good feedback about the show, and that's all because of you, spreading the word. So continue to tell your friends, your family, your co-workers, people at the gym, people when you're standing in line at the grocery store. Tell them about that Black and Blue podcast. I'm going to have a lot of good content for you in the future, so continue to spread the word, and I appreciate it. So till then, you know what to do. Stay black in blue. I'll holler at you. Peace.
This has been a Maitre D Entertainment presentation.